Well, it's about time, I must say. Here I am with information that will solve your mystery for you, and it's hours before you show up. You aren't helping that famous detective, or whatever he is, aren't you?
Yes, madam, I have that honor.
I would think you'd be more on your toes. In America, the police would have arrested the culprit by now on my evidence.
Then let us proceed without delay. May I have your passport, please?
My passport? What do you want my passport for? I'm the witness, not the murderer. What is wrong with you people in this country?
This is Yugoslavia, madam. I am French.
That's what I said.
Your passport. Thank you. You are Caroline Martha Hubbard, of Great Neck, is it? Long Island?
That's what it says, doesn't it?
You are traveling to Paris to meet your daughter?
Yes, then I'm supposed to sail for home the day after tomorrow. Though how can I do that stuck here? I'll never know.
Did you hear any sounds coming from Monsieur Ratchett's room?
Well, earlier I'd asked that Swedish lady, Mrs. Olson, if she had anything for a headache. She's a nurse, you know.
Yes, I know.
Poor soul. Looking for my room, she'd opened the door to Mr. Ratchett's compartment by mistake. He laughed and said something not very nice, I think. But I couldn't make it out. She said, "Oh, I make a mistake. I ashamed to make a mistake," in that bizarre accent of hers. And he laughed again and said something about her being too old. The idea! My late husband, Mr. Hubbard, and I enjoyed conjugal relations right up to the very end.
Anything else?
After that, I heard snoring. Quite loud, like an airplane engine revving up.
What color is your dressing gown?
What an odd question. I have 2 dressing gowns, if you must know. A pink flannel that's kind of cozy on board ship, and a purple silk number that my late husband, Mr. Hubbard, gave me. But what in creation do you want to know that for?
Someone in a scarlet kimono was seen coming out of either your compartment or Monsieur Ratchett's. It is very difficult to tell sometimes which is which when all the doors are closed.
Well, it wasn't mine.
Then it must have been Monsieur Ratchett's.
That wouldn't surprise me any. I thought I heard a voice in there.
Was it a woman you heard in Monsieur Ratchett's room?
Yes, I think it was.
Did you hear what was said?
Well, I didn't put a glass up to the connecting door and eavesdrop, for heaven's sakes. What sort of a person do you think I am?
When was it you heard this voice?
I have no idea. Sometime after the snoring died.
Was it before or after the train stopped?
After. After the man in my room that you have so far failed to ask me about. I woke up, heard the voice, and that was that.
Tell me about the man you thought was in your room.
At last! No offense intended, sweetie, but you foreigners do just about everything backwards.
The man?
Well, I was in bed. I woke up. All in the dark it was. And I knew, I tell you, that there was a man in there with me.
In your bed?
In my what? How dare you? No, in my compartment. I was just so scared I couldn't scream. I just lay there and thought, mercy, I'm going to be killed by some foreigner. These nasty trains. I just lay there with my eyes closed and thought of America. Somehow I got my wits about me and I felt about with my hand and I felt.
Yes?
The bell button. I pressed it and pressed, but no one came. I thought, mercy, what if they'd murdered every single soul on the train? I went on pressing the bell, and at last, footsteps in the corridor. I dragged on my dressing gown, the pink one. I screamed, "Come in!" and switched on the lights, and would you believe it? There wasn't a soul there.
Michel opened your door and entered?
Yes, although considering the time it took him to arrive, he must have come by dog sled. He seemed to imagine I dreamt the whole thing. I tell you here and now I'm not one to imagine things.
Michel searched your compartment?
Yes, even under the chair, although he said there wasn't room for a man to squeeze himself under there. I asked him to check the connecting door.
Was it bolted?
No, but I knew it had been because I asked the Swedish lady to check it when she brought me the headache powder.
Before Michel arrived, did either door open and close?
Sweetie, my eyes were squeezed shut tighter than a banker's fist. I didn't see. And with the bell making all that racket, the intruder could have dynamited a hole in the wall, and I wouldn't have heard it.
Do you remember the Armstrong kidnapping?
I'll say I do. How that wretch that did it escaped scot-free, I'll never understand. I'd have liked to get my hands on him.
You could have, madam, when the connecting door was unbolted.
You mean Ratchett was the man?
Yes, his real name was Cassetti.
Well, imagine that. Wait till I tell my daughter.
Were you acquainted with the Armstrong family?
Well, they were from New York, too. But no, they moved in a very exclusive circle. I've always heard that Mrs. Armstrong was a perfectly lovely woman and that her husband worshipped her. It was all incredibly sad.
I would like to dust the doorknob of the connecting door for fingerprints.
My, aren't you the little improviser? Be my guest, sweetie. Search the whole place if you'd like. I need a drink.
Mrs. Hubbard, wait. You dropped this.
That's not mine.
I thought as it has the initial H on it.
I've got mine right here. See? It's marked CMH, and it's a sensible thing, not that flimsy, expensive Parisian cambric. What good is a hanky you can't sneeze into? I understand we'll be underway soon.
Yes, the snow is being cleared now. I'm sorry you'll miss your boat to America.
Under the circumstances, I've decided to stop in Paris for a few days, play with my grandchildren, and recuperate from this trip.
I found this photograph in your suitcase.
I hope you didn't mind rummaging through my dirty clothes.
Is it your daughter?
Yes, isn't she a sweetie, though? And terribly bright. Her husband just adores her, of course. And those are her 2 children. Aren't they cunning?
Have you thought of anything else that might be helpful to our investigation?
Well, you certainly have everyone in an uproar. Maybe next time you'll be able to be more discreet. Oh, I forgot. You probably won't be doing any more investigating after this, will you?
That's all.
That wasn't helpful? I thought it was. My daughter is not going to believe me when I tell her why I was so late arriving. You really should get back to your office in Istanbul as soon as you can, sweetie. I think you're far more suited to be a clerk than a detective. I can't believe you have still not caught the murderer. I practically handed him to you on a plate. Have you enjoyed rummaging around in my room?
Au revoir, madame. Thank you, Madame Hubbard. That will do for now, Madame Hubbard. Good day to you, Madame. Good evening, Madame.
Come back later, Miss Marceau. We can chat then. I'm not in the mood to talk right now. Later we can talk till the cows come home if you like.
I would like to fingerprint you.
What do you have there? A typewriter ribbon? You're going to smear ink from that on my fingers?
That was my intention.
And how do you plan to clean that mess off afterwards?
I'll have to find something to use.
I'll say you will.
I'll take your fingerprints later. I have something to clean your hands with.
Cocktail napkins? Good gracious, sweetie. What kind of fleabag investigation are you conducting here anyway?
I appreciate your cooperation. I'd like those fingerprints now. I have something to clean your hands with.
Cocktail napkins? Good gracious, sweetie. What kind of fleabag investigation are you running here anyway?
I appreciate your cooperation.